Okay, I'm sitting here with Lake Stinzi from the Black Lake Special Utility District. My name is Barry Halverson. This is Lake.
How are you?
I'd like you to go ahead and introduce yourself, Lake.
My name is Lake Stinzi. I'm one of the board members of the Black Lake Special District. I've been a board member since the inception of the district in 2013.
Did you have a lake association prior to that that was beneficial in putting that together?
We did. There was a group called the Save Black Lake Coalition that I believe was formed about 2010, and it was a 501c, and it was formed by a group of active citizens who wanted to see something done about Black Lake for the long term. The lake was, in their view and in our view, was slowly degrading.
Since forming your special utility district, has the Lake Association continued?
It has, but it's been somewhat dormant. I expect that it will probably be dissolved pretty soon.
How many parcels do you have in the special use district?
There are currently 730 parcels in the district, of which about 180 are lakefront parcels.
So the HOAs have a lot of upland parcels involved with them?
Yes. The HOAs typically have a community beach, and then there are HOA members that have rights to that beach.
What was the biggest challenge that you experienced in forming the special use district?
Initially, I think our biggest concern in forming the special use district was a concern about liability, especially for the board members and for the district itself. When you're a lake management district, you basically have the county behind you. But as a special use district, you have no one behind you. And we were concerned about, well, what happens if there's an accident? What happens if a contractor makes a mistake? What is going to be our liability and the board members' liability? And it's turned out that that's not been an issue for us. We've been very, very careful with our contractors to make sure they're very, very qualified and very heavily insured. Another thing that's helped us too, I think, is that we have no employees. We contract out everything. I think once you start employing people, now your liabilities go up considerably with all of the, as you might imagine, employee issues that can come up.
Have any of your contractors ever been sued as liability that they carry?
Not while they've been employed with us. It turns out, as you might expect, that lake activities contractors, it's not a large pool of contractors, and you can learn pretty quick who's had a problem, who hasn't, and you do your best to stay away from it, or to ask that contractor who's had a problem, how are you going to mitigate this in the future?
So what is the best thing about a special utility district from your standpoint?
I think from our perspective, it's that we're able to set our own priorities, and it's up to us to find the resources necessary to fulfill those priorities.
How many board members do you have?
3.
Okay, and how are those folks elected?
Every 2 years, a seat is up for election, and the term of the election is 6 years.
And you pay for those reelection costs.
Yes, and we've been somewhat fortunate in that there's only been one candidate so far for each of our elections.
So you don't actually have to hold an election.
So we don't actually hold an election, and we don't actually have election costs. But should we need to hold an election, then the county auditor will probably charge us $3,000 to $5,000 for that effort.
We talked about liability just a second ago, and you haven't had any liability issues for either the board members or results of contractor work or anything like that. But you do maintain liability insurance.
We don't.
As a special utility district, you're responsible for all your administration, your Open Public Meetings Act, and all those type of governmental regulations. Who does that for you?
Well, I guess the board takes care of that. Although our back office, we have an organization that we've hired to take care of our website and to take care of our records and our email systems and that kind of thing. It's an organization called Work Support, and they take care of our meeting our records retention requirements. Should we have a information request, freedom of information request, they'll handle that for us.
How do you publicize your meetings?
We on our website we have our calendar of meetings, and at least we usually about 48 hours ahead of each meeting we publish our agenda, which also includes draft minutes from the previous meeting. And those agendas and meeting and minutes are published permanently on the website. So you can go back and see our minutes from 10 years ago if you have a mind to do that.
Now, how do you hold your meetings today?
Today, we hold our meetings via Zoom audio, and this is partly for our convenience for ourselves as board members, and also for convenience for our back office staff. We've been told by our legal support that we still need to maintain a physical presence at the meetings, although I don't believe anyone would show up if we offered that, but we do offer it.
So you mentioned your legal support. So do you have a retainer for legal services as part of the SUD?
No, but we do have I guess, an engagement agreement with a legal firm where we have established rates, and where I think we have some certainty of being able to reach out and connect with the attorney should we need that.
So they're responsive.
So they're responsive.
And how often have you had to do that since 2013?
In the early days, 2014 and 15, it was fairly frequent because we were asking the legal firm to create a policy manual for us, a manual that would help us as board members stay out of the ditches on issues. And the policy manual has been published on the website, and it's fairly comprehensive. After that, we had not much need for legal assistance. We were adept enough to write our own resolutions, and
Unlike a lake management district, which has a specific time frame that their resolutions carry them for, like 5 years or 10 years, a special utility district, once formed, is for eternity unless it's dissolved through a specific process. Is that correct?
Yes. The special use district can be dissolved by the members, board members, or it can be suspended by the county legislative authority.
The special utility district holds the permit, not the individual contractor.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, the individual contractor can, and at one time, that's how we started off, with the contractors owning, or holding the permit.
So as part of the contracting process, they had to apply for the permit, pay for the permit, and then they charged you for the cost of that.
Yes. But we have since taken over that permit, and the advantages of us holding the permit is that we now can add additional contractors to that permit, or delete a contractor if we wish.
By holding your own permit, say, versus the county holds a permit for a lake management district. You hold your own permit for a special utility district. You're able to use any chemical treatment process that's approved by Department of Ecology for use in a water body.
Yes. Yes.
And do you find that beneficial?
Yes, that was in the early days when we were considering the LMD form of structure versus a special use district. One of the reasons that the special use district was attractive to us was that we weren't limited to the chemicals approved by the county, but we were limited to what the state requirements were. And in Thurston County has quite a number of restrictions on herbicides.
The other thing that lake management districts and special utility districts have that are very different in the formation of a SUD versus an LMD is the voting process. Could you explain how that works for a special utility district?
For the special use district, each parcel within the district boundaries is awarded 2 votes.
Is there anything else you would like to tell our audience about special use districts?
Again, back to why we chose the SUD versus the LMD. I mentioned one reason was that the LMDs have to follow what the county's regulations are on herbicides. And in the case of Thurston County is much more restricted on herbicide assortments and types than the State Department of Ecology. There were a couple of other reasons too. As of 2013, we interviewed some of the steering committee members at Long Lake who were LMD, and there were considerable concerns about the amount of overhead that Long Lake was paying for county support. And we looked at their budget documents, and indeed, at least at that time, Long Lake was paying about 40% of their budget went to county staff. And we felt we could do better than that. It wouldn't be nothing, but we certainly could do better than 40%. And I think right today we're running at around 25 to 30%.
Overhead costs?
Overhead costs. And overhead costs would be board member compensation, our back office maintenance of our website and our mailings and those kinds of things. The only thing that I'm considering as direct is where we have a contractor who's working on the lake. I would consider that a direct expense. Everything else is overhead.
Now, does your contractor do all the surveys as well?
Yes.
And that's part of the contract for a treatment plan?
Yes.
And do you know about how much they're charging for that?
I believe that we're being charged about $4,000, $5,000 for a survey. And from that, they propose their treatment plan for the season.
So it's one survey at the beginning of the year.
Yes.
Then it's the treatment based on that survey that's put before the board for approval.
Yes.
And then do they do a follow-up survey as part of that to determine how effective the treatment was?
It's not quite as comprehensive. On the initial survey, it's comprehensive in that they've got some electronic equipment that they run around the lake, measuring plant densities and this kind of thing.
Do you get any grant funds from ecology?
No, not directly.
Black Lake has had in the past has had a huge problem with algae blooms. And you've taken that head on as a special utility district board, and you've applied alum and another chemical.
So far, so good. We've done a couple of alum treatments. One was a low dose in 2017, and the other was a much higher dose in 2021. And that treatment with alum involves adding aluminum sulfate to the lake at the right proportions and densities depending on depth. And it's quite a scientific process on how to disperse the chemicals. We, in preparation for the treatment, samples were taken of the lake in the water column and also in the sediments. And the purpose of the treatment was to try to sequester phosphorus that was contained in the sediments. It is bind that phosphorus in such a way that it no longer has an impact to the water column. Because the processes within lakes is such that much of the phosphorus that is in a lake is actually welling up from the bottom waters. When you get the turnover of the water in the late summer, fall is when you typically see an algae bloom. And that's because there's upwelling of the waters from the bottom to the top. And those waters on the bottom, which have gone into a state of lack of oxygen, now in that state bring phosphorus out of the sediment and into solution. And once they enter the water column, then you just have a tremendous algae bloom. So this process involves binding chemically with the phosphorus in the top 2 or 3 inches of sediment. And it's a permanent one-time process. Now, with algae treatments, though, a concern that we will continue to have is, well, how much more phosphorus is entering the lake from other sources?
From all the streams and
From all the
rivulets.
streams and the septic tanks and
Yeah.
you name it. And so we still have to work hard on trying to minimize phosphorus entering from the watershed. Herrera has been our primary consultant, and their advice was the alum treatment versus Phoslock.
Is there something added to the alum, a buffering agent?
Yes, there's a buffering agent that's added as the alum is added to the lake. And the purpose of the buffer is to maintain the pH levels of the lake at a level that will not harm fish.
Okay.
Because aluminum sulfate by itself, once it's added to water, it makes the water acidic. And so it's important to keep to add something to counteract that so that you do not get fish kill. Okay. So during the application process, they have a special barge that they use that is calibrated based on the depth and where it's at GPS-wise and all the rest of this, and it's continually measuring pH as it progresses through the water.
Now, you did that last application in 2021.
Yes.
What's the clarity of your lake been since?
It's been much improved. I believe the Secchi disc tests, I think we were down to about 10 feet of visibility. And a lot of that, of course, is because now the algae is no longer in the water.
Suspended in the water.
Yeah, so that has created a little bit of a secondary problem. As the water is clarified, now the extent of rooted plants within the lake has expanded.
Right.
Because now sunlight can extend
Penetrate further.
to more acres.
Yeah.
So it's a catch-22.
So what you've seen is your vegetation growth has expanded.
Yes.
It's gotten worse.
Yes.
Besides chemical treatments, have you used mowers, mechanical?
Yes, we have. In the early days, 2015, we tried a mechanical harvester, and we were not happy with the results. At the time, in 2015, we were trying to deal with a very, very widespread growth of water nymph. We had engaged a harvester to deal with that, and it was not successful. And part of it was a learning curve for us. We learned how difficult it is, first of all, to find disposal places. Second, because of the size of our lake, we learned that the efficiency of the harvester is not very good. Once the harvester is full, it needs to unload. Well, now it needs to go to the unload location. And the harvester is not particularly fast. We're going to revisit harvesters again. There is an advantage of harvesters in that what material you cut and you remove from the lake is removing nutrients from the lake.
Right.
And theoretically, if we cut a lot of the vegetation out of the lake and got it all removed, well, now we've removed a lot of the source for vegetation growth, perhaps in the next season.
Well, the decaying material from the vegetation that you remove, if you left it there, would just add additional phosphorus to the lake.
That and nutrients for the plants to grow again. So, but we're going to reconsider reintroducing harvesters, but this time we'll try to target the harvester towards plants that the harvester can easily deal with. Lily pads being one type.
Yeah. So you're looking at using it for like spatterdock or fragrant water lily.
Yeah, it's something we think that's easy for,
Yeah.
where we can get a good bang for our buck, going after a less dense plant.
Yeah, because harvesters are expensive per acre. They're about $2,000.
Yeah, that was
And if you gotta truck it a long ways to get to an offload point,
Yeah.
that's even more costly. Was there anything else you would like to add before we conclude this interview?
No, I don't think so.
I'd just like to say, thank you very much, Lake, for sitting down with us and talking to us about special use districts. It's one of the ways that communities on lakes can organize to create a better health for their lakes. And that's the whole purpose of these videos, is to show the different ways that communities can organize to both get resources and to obtain permits and to take care of their lakes so that they don't degrade and deteriorate over our own lifespan, let alone our children's. So, thank you so much.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.